Good morning. I assumed you didn't want to see another carburetor video, so I wasn't going to record today because that's what I'm going to be working on. But I figured, hey, why not? I'm not forcing you to watch it. I went ahead and took the seat in the tank back off. The lights weren't working, and I was trying to figure out why. I thought it had to be running, but I cranked it the other day. It runs at really high RPMs, like 3,500, and it doesn't idle down after a little while, so I can't leave the engine running long because I don't want to blow it up or anything. And so I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the carburetor because it idles that much. And I tried adjusting the idle screws. I turned the bike off. I tightened them all the way down, and then I turned them to, I can actually show you here. There's the idle adjustment screw. It's a flathead screw down in that hole. There's one on both sides, and the factory specs say 1 1/4 turn, and when I took it out the first time and tightened it down and loosened it, it was 2 1/4 turn. So I had it set on 2 1/4 turn because that's how it came to me. But because the factory said 1 1/4, I tightened it down, then loosened it back up 1 1/4. It still was running high idle. And see, there's this idle adjustment screw I showed you before. It's this thing right here, and you can reach it from when the carbs are on the bike. Actually, when I'm sitting on the bike and it's running, I'm reaching down there and turning it, seeing if I can adjust the idle. But the problem is I don't really know which way to turn it, and I turn it a whole lot of times, like 35 turns, and it doesn't even do anything. And then I think, let me see if I can show you. This piece, there's a little screw in there. This screw, it pushes on a tab right here, and it opens these doors it opens the venturi. And so that's how, if it's all the way open like that, it's going to be a high idle. But then I don't know if I actually back the screw out so much it's not even touching the doors or not. And that's the thing I think about. I'm like, it's backed out so much because I'm trying to lower the idle that it's not even touching the doors and it's not doing anything. So there's a couple of reasons I took the carbs out today, but one of them is so I can just sit there and concentrate and turn it and see which way where this screw, when it hits because it looks like it's barely, I don't think it's even touching the door right now. So it looks like Okay. So I see that turning it, so if I'm sitting on the bike and I reach down with my right hand and I turn it counterclockwise, then it's loosening the screw. So before I put it back on the bike, I am going to make sure that the screw is actually touching the venturi. Okay. So actually that is the tightest it goes. And because it's round, I don't think my feeler gauges will fit in there, but let me just check. Yeah, I think these are gonna be too wide. Yeah, so that's pretty much my thickest gauge here. There's one more, let's see. Yeah, so that one doesn't, so it's between, it's right at .80 millimeters, so it's almost open a whole millimeter at the tightest it can go. So I'm gonna back it off. One, two, three, 4, 5. Okay, I turned it 5 turns, and let's check and see where it's at now. So 5 turns of the adjustment screw brought it down to .33 millimeters. So that's only like a third of a millimeter. Went from a whole millimeter to just a third of it in 5 turns. So that's good to know for me. So when I'm turning it, and it wasn't 5 whole turns around, it was just 5 cranks with my hand. So I think it's probably about a quarter turn each time I crank it. So about 5 quarter turns is all it took. And I know that bench tuned this, but for some reason, I don't know if it's just the light or not, but this one over here looks like it's a little more closed than this one. So I need to adjust that with this adjustment screw in the middle. I'll get my needle to do that. But I don't think I'm gonna do that just now because I'm gonna take this whole thing apart and clean it out. But I'm just trying to figure out why. I know I already cleaned it out once, but there was a lot of bad gas in it, and so it'd be best to clean it out again. That way I have no question. I know I keep saying, oh well, it's just the carburetor. If the carburetor is totally done, I know it's not the carburetor, and if that's really the only thing keeping this bike from running perfect, then I'm willing to clean it out again and check and make sure everything is perfect on this carburetor. I need to check the float valve. I mean, I checked it both times and it was free, but who knows, a little piece of debris could have gotten in there because there was a whole lot of gas, and a high idle could be because of a rich mixture. And especially when I turn it off, it kind of pops a little bit. They're not really backfires, but it kind of does a little bit of pop at the exhaust. And so that leads me to believe it's too rich of a mixture. So if I can tune this down a little bit, then perhaps that idle will be around 1,000 RPMs. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take this carburetor apart, and if I find anything interesting, I will share it with you. Although I just cleaned this a week ago, look at all that corrosion. I mean, this float that didn't look too good before. I don't think it had that much buildup on it. And inside of this float bowl, some varnish and some pieces of debris down in there. Sorry, it's not too bright out here today, but so you can't really see. And see, there's the jet. See, right here is the float bowl adjuster. It's just a little pin, and this is what stops the fuel, and it's moving freely, but I may need to adjust this little tab to float it a little better. The way this works is, see, this is upside down. It's just like this. Let's see. That part goes in the engine. This is the intake. But I gotta be careful. I don't want to lose that little pin. But say this bowl is on here and this fills up with gasoline. And when it gets enough gas in there, just floats up and it turns off the flow by pushing up on that little pin. See, right there. And so perhaps we don't want it to be all the way full like that. Maybe down like that would give less gas to the engine. So if I pressed this little tab up a little bit, if I bent it toward the pin, then this wouldn't have so much travel to turn off the flow of gas. It would, see, if the pin were bent to here, then it would just stop when it got to there, and that would be enough gas to run the motor. But when pieces are old, they're brittle, and if I go bending that too much, and I have to make sure that I bend the same one, the same amount. So that's where I'll use my feeler gauges to bend it just a slight amount and measure it and do the same exact measurement on the other one, because we just need it to have a little less gas. As I'm cleaning all these parts, I came to the main jet. This is the one in the carburetor bowl, and it was really clogged up. I guess you could see through it now. But I was using this little dental pick, and there was a lot of corrosion built up in there. I mean, you know, it's like you can barely see it, hardly any, and that's a lot. It's funny to say, but that's what, you know, that's the fuel's got to flow through there, and if it's clogged up, it's not going to flow. And so that could have been one of the causes of what's going on with my carburetor. So just wanted to keep you up to date. Well, I've got all the pieces and parts cleaned, except for what's soaking, and the chem dip, and that's got to soak for hours. And so I still got the other carburetor to do. I'll stop by, pick up some more carburetor cleaner, but I have to go grocery shopping. Refrigerator's empty. I've been out here in the garage for a week. So I'll get back to y'all later. Bye for now.